welcome everybody to the Magic Beans podcast. We are back again for episode number 85. I'm your host tonight, and my name is Shorty, and I have a couple of beans on the line with me. So tonight we have Cracker back again after last week. How's it going, mate?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. And we also have Chewy. How's it going, Chew?
Yeah, I'm disappointed I missed the KCI e-tron cast last week, but I appreciate you guys covering
solid
the
hour
important
of
topics.
KCI.
Yeah, it's good. No, I'm well.
Yeah,
I'm well.
the important topics that were no topics.
Yeah, no, good cast last week. Sorry I missed it, but I'm back and I'm refreshed and I'm ready to tackle our myriad of topics this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got, like basically just a mixed bag of a whole bunch of different things tonight to sort of run through. So we'll get through all of those. Lots of good content. Well, we assume it's good. We think it's good, as always. Hopefully you also think it's good. And we'll get you all up to date with what's going on. But before we get into that, Chewy, do you want to tell us about our awesome sponsors?
Absolutely. Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar, the official podcast and league sponsor for the Magic Beans. They are a Facebook auction group, and you can search them up on Facebook. Just search for Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. Link will be in the show notes, as it always is, and you can bid on physical Magic cards, premium auctions on the weekend, and when you do win an auction and get that absolute bargain, do us a favour and just say that the Bean sent you, and they'll keep looking after us, which helps us look after you.
Very good. And I just found out this week from Pat that you don't have to just go and look them up on Facebook. He actually has a web address that redirects to the Facebook group. So if you just go to jpmtgbazaar.com.au, it will redirect you straight to the Facebook group. So I need to go through and update all of our links and all the things on the overlays, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, just jpmtgbazaar.com.au, and that will take you straight to the Facebook group. And then you can join up and get in on all those bargains. So
almost sounds too easy. Yeah,
it does. Sounds way too easy. Yep.
Yeah.
Bargain Magic cards. That's what everybody loves. We were having a discussion this evening on our Discord about there's no such thing as too many Magic cards. So just keep buying them from Josh and Pat's.
My office around me is testament to exactly that. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so a few things to get into. One thing we'll just touch on a couple of things quickly to start with. So Magic Legends was something that we've spoken about on this podcast previously. Cracker, do you remember what that is?
It was supposed to be a MMORPG, but then it wasn't that at all. Yeah,
then they changed it to a
ARPG.
ARPG? I don't know what that is either.
Adventure roleplay game, I think.
Okay, cool.
So from what I know, you could play with two other friends and kind of just roam around and do some stuff together.
Yep.
That's it. I can't say I ever looked at it any more than probably the initial trailer, and heard some reviews really early on that the open beta was kind of bad, and I guess we were all waiting for the, hey, it doesn't suck now announcement.
Well, that's technically true then, right? With this announcement, yeah?
Well,
yes, technically true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to suck for much longer, I guess you could say.
What's happened to it?
It's been canned.
Yeah.
So I guess worth pointing out that this was WotC licensed. It wasn't WotC themselves making it. It was another company, right? And yeah, they just announced that it's going to be not leaving the beta and ending in October.
And they are, from what I've heard, they are refunding everybody money if you've put money into cosmetics and all that sort of stuff that you could buy on there. So that is good. But I don't know much about the computer game world with betas and all that sort of stuff. Like, is this something that happens regularly with small games? Or
no, what you'll find is that people call things beta now and release them, and they're actually like full games. They are like Hearthstone, I think, was beta for like 4 years or something. It had like world championships and stuff in the beta.
Well,
so they just call it that so that you can say, oh, it's like, it's a buggy thing, but it's all right because it's still the beta.
Yeah, Arena had the $1 million tournament, right? That Gucci won, and that was still technically in beta, right? So
yeah, exactly.
And a lot of the times, even if a game is bad and doesn't have a life cycle, they will still release it just to try to, grab what revenue they can. But yeah, for whatever reason, this has been canned. It could be that just no one was playing it. It could be like WotC's licensing agreement changed and they decided, who knows, like total speculation there.
Stacks of different reasons as to why. But from the accounts is that it still had a whole stack of issues. And it wasn't what they said it was initially. I think if they'd come in saying, hey, it's going to be an ARPG instead of a MMORPG where you can kind of just do like whatever you want, it probably would have been received differently. But then it was kind of like a bait and switch, and we all know how much Magic players love that.
Yeah, exactly. I remember Blaster Boy was pretty upset about that. When we first talked about it, when it was first announced.
He was trying to convince us all that we have to get on it, because he's a huge WoW fan, right? Like he raids regularly and stuff, and he's like, oh, Magic, this is going to be like the best thing ever. And then he's like, oh, wait, never mind, I don't want to play one of those at all.
Where are you, Blaster Boy, by the way?
Yeah,
where are you?
Yeah. I've not seen him for months.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Wizards doing bait and switches, something we didn't mention when it originally happened, but Worlds this year, the Magic World Championship, which is basically the pinnacle of competitive Magic play. It's always a very, very small field tournament. I think this time it is 16 players, and you can only qualify for this thing by literally being the best in Magic at, for that year sort of thing. It's always a huge thing. We've seen like Paulo Vitor Domodorosa win it recently, Javier Dominguez. Wizards started doing the invitational cards, all that sort of stuff, or the World Championship cards. So massive deal. I think like a year and a half ago it was announced that it was going to be $1 million prize pool, which is amazing and awesome. And then a few weeks ago they released the details for Worlds, and amongst the details was a very small thing that listed out the prizes as now being $250,000.
I mean, I don't know if you call that a small thing, man.
Well,
just like chopping
it was in small writing.
I'm sure it was very small writing.
So yeah, as you can expect, the Twitter world exploded and whatever, and you had people on both sides of the fence of some people saying, well, it's Wizards, they're not beholden to the prizes that they set. They've got all their terms and conditions about being able to change prizes and that sort of thing. And then the other side of the argument of how dare they do this? They promised this and all that sort of stuff. So we never really mentioned it because it doesn't have a huge impact on us. But just this week they announced that they're actually going to be paying the players who are playing in this a $50,000 appearance fee on top of the prize money. So that just completely flattens out the prize structure for this event and makes it like really, really good EV for all of these players. Like guaranteed $50,000 is insane for a Magic tournament, and it also actually ends up with 16 players. That's $800,000 for the appearance fees plus the $250,000 that's on the prizes. So it's actually more than it was previously. So I don't know what's gone on here. I don't know if this is just, again, like Wizards and their not marketing, whatever, like their PR teams or whatever, just not communicating and releasing the article and not realising that it had the different prize amount in it before they told players that they were going to get their appearance fees. Like, who knows? I don't know. But
this reeks of legal advice.
Yeah. Or is it the situation of like, okay, let's knock it down to 250 and see what the reaction is, and then we can bump it up if we need to.
Maybe.
Like, I don't know.
But there's a potential lesson here for Wizards, right? Where it's like, okay, $1 million prize pool. Oh, now it's $1 million and a bit because we tried to get greedy. Because I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Whether there's a lesson on offer there, whether it'll be learned or not, I'm not sure.
No, there's no lesson there, man. They won't learn it. They don't need to.
No, they don't. So this sort of brought up a couple of interesting discussion points. Like Chewy and I were talking about this before the cast. Like I couldn't care less about this. It has zero impact on me as a Magic player.
You're just salty because you were the 17th best player in the world, Shorty.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
17th best player in the world, yeah. But from my point of view, it has zero impact on me. But Chewy, I know you have not differing opinion, but a stronger opinion on it, I guess.
I'm kind of stuck in the middle. I'm stuck in the middle where I get it, and they're entitled to set prizes and all the rest of it. I completely understand where they're coming from. But for me, as a Magic player, and for a lot of other people, we were kind of sold a dream, and this is the pinnacle, as you said. But the whole organized play thing with the players to a pro tour, Mythic Championship, whatever they're called, right? So part of my drive to play Magic and to try to get better at Magic was to see how far I could go on that journey. It was to, play in the PTQ and hopefully make top 8, and then you try to spike that top 8, and then all of a sudden you're on the Pro Tour, and then, that's that next phase and that next challenge. And Shorty, you've made top 8s of PTQs before, and you have that sort of butterfly moment where it's like, oh, I might be on here. And, that's gone. So they sold us a dream, and then bang, in an instant that dream's gone. That's disappointing. It's not going to change the way that I play Magic, interact with the game, talk about Magic. It hasn't diminished my love for the game at all, but that is disappointing to me, that aspect as it stands today just doesn't exist. And, this Worlds thing was kind of just that sort of cherry on top of that very bitter cake. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. I get it. If it's not making them money, they've done all their marketing research, they'll have teams of people that are analysing all of the information and going, well, we don't actually need this. This is just an unnecessary cost that we're not seeing the returns for. And it was great because it helped us build the brand and build the company over the last 25 years, and it's been really good, but its time has come, right? Completely understand that. And, also for the pros and all of the people that have done nothing but complain about the system for 25 years, you probably shouldn't be surprised that it then gets cancelled then, right?
Yeah.
So what did you expect? So, it's... I completely understand all of that. I'm actually pretty pragmatic about the whole thing. I understand it, but the emotional side of me is a bit flat because, there was a thing that we could all strive for and was a driver for a lot of people.
Play the game, see the world, man, right? That was the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And
how long's it been since that was the tagline, though?
Oh, a really, really long time. A really long time.
Well, yeah. I'm old. What do you want?
But for me personally...
I don't think I've ever heard that tagline.
No.
In the time that I've been playing competitive Magic.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I literally got a passport for the first time because of Magic, right?
Yeah.
So, and that, so I bought into that marketing strategy, and it was huge for me. So, and it's gone. And I get it. I'll move on, and other people will as well. But where hopefully somebody else picks it up. Maybe the Red Bull thing gets bigger, and they're better at it than Wizards are, and we end up with something even better than we've ever had. Who knows? So
yeah, who knows? We'll see. And I mean, we've spoken about this before. They haven't said there are no more Worlds, there are no more Pro Tours, then there's no more nothing. They've said there will be something, but we don't have those details yet. So yeah, it's the system as we know it at the moment is dead, but there will be some sort of system in the future. And yeah,
where do you sit on this, Cracker? Now I'm done. Thank you. I'll take a breath.
Where do I sit? I don't know. Kind of ambivalent. Look, I mean, I think I do, but just not as much, right? Like advertising the prize pool for the world champs is $1 million and then taking it away just to see if you can get away with it. And it really just feels like that's what they did, is a pretty rubbish thing to do. Am I glad that they've made it good, in quotes? Yep. Am I sad that I don't care about this stuff anymore? Yep. Because I used to love watching Worlds and PTs and stuff. Like we would go play at someone's place and have it on in the background, or, just watch coverage and DMing each other at midnight and stuff like that. Saying, oh, did you see that sick play and stuff? And it's just gone now. I don't care. So I can't care. It's just whatever. I love Magic, and I'd rather just, hang out with the beans and talk with them about the leagues and stuff that we do instead. So, yeah, it's fine.
Yep. Yeah, if we had the time to get into it, I'd be interested to have a chat, or continue the chat that we've had on previous episodes about, Wizards' whole marketing strategy, and do they need to have tournaments like Worlds to sell cards and that sort of stuff. But we've got too many other things to talk about. We'll save that for another week, or maybe when we have more details on the future of competitive play, and we can sort of get stuck into that then. So
It's all right. We've got 6 more announcements before we have to worry about that.
Yeah. We've got years of that to come up before we actually hear about sort of concrete details.
I actually read all of the announcements now just in case there's like a secret lair drop hidden in there somewhere or something.
No, the announcements are in the secret lair drops.
Yeah.
Correct. That's the bait and switch, man. The secret lair is not secret anymore.
Yeah. All right, so man. Speaking of announcements, we had a Arena State of the Game announcement came out end of last week, I think it was. It might have been just after we recorded. Not too much to cover on that. They've sort of shown how dungeons are going to look on Arena. I don't know what you guys think of those, but looks fine to me. No issues with how that pops up. It's going to pop up. You get to choose your dungeon, and then you venture through your rooms. Pretty straightforward for how you would think it would work. They've shown how what the pets are going to look like that you can get for this set. And then also the dice. We spoke about it last week, Cracker. We were wondering what we were going to see in terms of dice. Looks like they're not rolling across the screen, but there is a dice that shows up.
There'll be something. It'll kind of move around a little bit. I think it'll give you that kind of roll feel for maybe just a flash or whatever. It won't just come up as like the 15 it shows.
So I've been pretty vocal about animations on Arena. Right?
Yes.
Like it is my least favorite thing, but if ever there was an actual application for an animation, surely it's the D20 rolling. Like if they do all of the stuff that they've done that's just annoying, like how many times has like Brazen Borrower popped up or Uro come down and all that stuff that you're just sick of seeing. But if they don't put some sort of effort into the D20 rolling, oh my goodness. So hopefully, it just rolls from the corner of the screen or something and just does something that looks like a dice roll. Because, you want it to feel like you've actually rolled it. And there's some semblance of the animation in Modo that, it's the Modo version of an animation. But like they do it in that, surely there's going to be something there. Fingers crossed.
Yep. They've added the horizontal deck builder to mobile devices. I didn't even realise this wasn't a thing because I don't build decks. I'm a filthy net decker and I haven't drafted for such a long time. So from what I've heard, people are super excited about this. But one thing that they are changing is they've now added in, instead of removing a copy of a card when you click on it, when you click on a card, it now brings up an interface where you can either add or remove cards. That drives me crazy when I'm on the iPad and it's like I go to like highlight a card to pop it up so it shows what it is, and I tap on it and it disappears. And if there was only one copy in the list, it's like, oh crap, what was that card? I've just taken it out of my deck list and now I don't know what it was. So that's going to be helpful for me. You've drafted on the phone, haven't you, Chewy?
No. I've played draft decks on the phone, but I haven't actually done the draft. So I'm similar to you though. Like I deliberately got
it's not an interface to build decks on.
No,
I think you're doing it wrong. Like I've played a few games on my mobile.
Yeah.
And it actually works pretty well, but
there's
no way I'd want to go through the process of trying to put something together on there.
I also deliberately got a smaller phone about 2 months before it actually came out on.
Yeah. I mostly play on the iPad.
Yeah, so your experience is probably better. So
I played. We'll touch on it soon. Our historic event on the weekend, I played every single match on the iPad and streamed some of them. That still works. So that was pretty cool.
We could see your Instagram notifications. That was
my wife's Instagram notifications. Yeah, that was always good.
Oh, that's great. But it's great that they're investing into that and trying to make that a better experience for mobile players because it is great. I do play pretty regularly on my phone. And I quite enjoy it. I know Stu has spent, the odd lunch break sitting in his work ute.
Playing, while he's waiting for something to happen at work.
Yeah.
Just bust out some Arena. Yeah, it's pretty handy.
It's great.
Yeah, and as you were saying before, Chewy, about hiding things in announcements, there's actually hidden towards the end here, there's a sort of an announcement that they're going to be running their standard 2022 events, which I don't know if you guys remember last year. Basically, when that last set comes out, so we have rotation coming up with the next set, with the Innistrad set. So what they do is they open up a queue where you can actually play future standard. You don't have the Innistrad cards, but it's standard without Eldraine and Theros and Ikora and M21, that sort of thing. So that kicks off as the D&D set releases on Arena, and it will be open all the way up until when the Innistrad set actually releases. So if you're really sick of playing all the adventure cards, then you can jump in there and play those. So I was playing Teamer Adventures last night, and I was looking at my hand going, pretty much every single card in my hand currently is about to rotate out of standard with the next set release. So time for a new deck.
I've actually been playing a fair bit of Historic.
Well, so that was the next thing to talk about, Historic. So I mentioned it just a minute ago. What did we do on the weekend, Chewy? Or you did some streaming? What was that for?
Yeah, so part of our 2021 tournament series is our one-day events, and they're traditionally Historic until Arena has a build your own limited thing where we can queue against each other.
Yes.
Please, thank you very much.
We'll definitely do that.
Yeah. It was Historic, and I streamed it, and shout out to Dark Flame Ash from our Discord, who joined in partway through and helped me out with commentary. Did a great job. It was really fun. It was also good to not just have to talk for 4.5 hours on my own. But we had 22 players register, which meant that there was 6 total invitational points, 3, 2, and 1 up for grabs, which is pretty exciting and does go a long way to qualifying for that at the end of the week. We had end of the year. There was a largely diverse format, but there was a few mono brown decks, which was a bit of a surprise. A few, Phoenix decks, a couple of other double ups, but mostly a nice diverse field, which is really fun. And Aragoth took it down with Gruul, and second place was also Gruul. So all of those mono brown decks just getting overrun by hasty beats. That's certainly certainly was my experience. And so it was a great event. Everyone had a good time. We had people from all over the world playing, and it was really, really fun.
Yep. So Aragoth actually won the first Historic event at the start of the year. So doing really well in Historic, and Rolling Royce, who finished second, won the last Historic event. So those two guys, they're picking up a ton of Envy points from these one-day events, and just proving that they seem to know the Historic format. So, and old J Mudd snuck in again, third place, and just got an extra Envy point. So good on him. He's still sitting up pretty high in the Envy standings, and I reckon he's in with a very good shot of being there for the Invitational this year. Yeah,
absolutely.
But this weekend, while our event was on, there was actually another one of the league weekends. I think it's actually the very last league weekend for the MPL and Rivals, and that was Standard and Historic again. So, Cracker, have you got the Historic metagame up there?
I do have the Historic metagame here. The league leagues. It's confusing, man, because I was all thinking about our leagues rather than the Rivals League. The good thing about our leagues is they're continuing. These ones are just done. As Shorty said, this was the final one ever. Bit of a mixed bag, actually, from what we can see here. So, cycling. How is cycling the top deck in Standard again at the moment?
Yeah, don't know how that's happened.
Yeah, me neither.
I guess it's well positioned, maybe.
Yeah, I guess so. Sometimes you just want to flare fools and win. So, and then Salto Ultimatum, Nara Adventures, Team Aluka, 2 copies of Rogues. Yeah, poor Rogues.
3. There was a Salto Rogues as well.
Salto Rogues.
Okay, nice.
What are they playing to make it? I should look at the list later. Anyway.
Standard doesn't matter too much. We're literally about to get a new set in the next few hours, so probably don't care too much about that.
Well, then isn't that true for Historic as well? Actually, I don't know that this set does much in either format. To be honest with you,
don't think so. So Historic, we saw a ton of Izzet Phoenix again. So 10 decks out of the field was Izzet Phoenix, and then the deck that you were pretty keen on, Cracker, the Teamer Creativity deck in second.
Yeah. Pretty fun. Yep. I still think that would be, pretty sweet to play. I'm short about 60 rare wildcards for that one, I think. But Team of Creativity. So, one person just decided to go for it.
Yep.
Yeah, look, interesting mix, and a bunch of, actually only 1 auras. It's such a tidy field.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You're looking at it going, oh, it's like 6% of the metagame. That must be one person.
Yeah. 5 copies of Demir Control.
Right.
Yeah, that was actually the deck that the guys you think of as like CFB and Ultra Pro worked on.
So Gabe Nassif, unsurprisingly, was running that. There would have been some fast games.
Yes.
3 copies of Cling to Dust in the main, Fatal Push, Thoughtseize, Doomblade, Drown, Mystical Dispute, Baleful Mastery, nice, Commit Memory, Extinction Event, Commencer Endgame, Cetrus Cantor, 4 copies of Shark Typhoon. So the only way it really wins is with Shark Typhoon.
Pretty
nice.
much.
Yeah.
And
times.
boredom.
Yeah.
And Commence the Endgame does not do... No, I thought that was the one that made the zombie army thing. No. So... Yeah, interesting. There's a Kefnet in the sideboard, so it can.
Commence the Endgame does make a mass token.
Oh, it does. It does.
Yeah, that's the one
it does
that
too.
draw
Yep.
2, and then your mass X. So
It's got win conditions. That's what you're saying.
It does, like 3 of them.
Yep. A whole 3.
in the 75, not the main.
Yeah. No, wait, hang on. There's Cerulean Drakes. You can win with those. They're 2-mana 1/1s that fly.
That gets the job done. So, yeah. Ken Yukihiro, it's always worth shouting out Ken's deck. And right up your alley, it's got green and white Spellscracker.
I love it.
It's basically Collected Company Angels. It's pretty great. So, yeah, get on that. If you're looking for a deck to play in an Exosoric event, Cracker,
It was played by Li Shitian.
Yeah.
And it's the other one.
Yeah.
Where you polymorph your guys into a Locust God.
Yep.
And
then just draw your whole deck.
Sage of the Falls and draw your deck.
I know you want to play Bishop of Wings, mate. Those 2-mana 1/4s.
Man, they're so good. Don't get me started.
Historic is still a crazy format.
Interesting there's no gobos at all. I find that interesting.
It's
It was so dominant and like
just dropped off the face of the earth.
It just fell off a cliff, didn't it?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it was the most powerful thing for quite a long time, with everyone, including me, wanting a ban of good old Muxus. And turns out when you print a whole bunch of cards from like Legacy and put them into Historic, that Muxus just isn't quite good enough. So
it doesn't play Lurus, Brainstorm, or Faithless Looting. I think is one of the problems with, right? Like it's just not playing any of those insane broken cards.
The cogs are turning in my brain to try to, like, how many blue-red jewels are in Historic? So how do I get Brainstorm in? Because if I've got goblins
you
in my...
You want to put Muxus back on top?
I want to put the cards back on top so I hit them with my Muxus.
Yeah, I like it. Okay.
And I want to find Muxus.
I mean, people tried the red-black version of goblins for a while. They were like splashing Salt Season and stuff like that in the sideboard. There's plenty of blue-red jewels. I mean, you play Phoenix and there's no issue with your mana base, really. Like,
did we just break the format, gentlemen? Did we just break the format?
Oh, well,
No,
you got the wild cards to burn
let us know.
I'll have
Next
to do the
Historic
Jumpstart event. Yeah, and get some Muxai. Is that the plural for Muxus? Is it Muxai?
Sure, why not?
Yes, definitely.
There we go. All the important things here on the beats.
Yeah. So that's Historic and Standard from this weekend in a tournament that did have some things on the line, and turns out it had at a minimum 50 grand on the line, because this was the last tournament for a bunch of the MPL and Rivals players to get those last couple of qualification slots. I did hear Seth Manfield apparently was like way ahead on the leaderboard and then lost. I don't think he won a match on day 1 and then just managed to win enough on day 2 to keep his world slot. So very nearly just completely threw it and lost effectively 50 grand. So and that's the sort of storylines that would be awesome for Wizards to be, promoting and for everyone to know about, and we just don't. I only know that because I heard someone say it on a podcast. And
well, hang on. Like, on that, I Googled the deck lists for this while I was contributing to the show notes here, right? And when you Google Strixhaven League weekend deck lists, the first thing that comes up on Google is the Mythic and Diamond ranked deck lists, like the deck dump for the week off the Wizards page, not even the MPL. Like, what are they doing?
Nothing, man. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything.
It's just
We've
crazy.
been over this.
I clicked on it and I went, I don't know any of these names. Oh, hang on, let me go.
They're just randoms.
Yeah. Oh, wizards. Anyway.
All right. So, yeah, I don't think... I mean, we'll be having a chat in a minute about the D&D set, which is about to come out. But, yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing a huge shake-up to the historic format. I don't think we're going to see much changes there until we get potential bannings. Did either of you guys end up playing in the Mirror event that was on the weekend? I never ended up giving it a go. It'd be interesting to see how people felt.
No, because they unbanned a bunch of cards that I hate. So,
but they changed them, Cracker.
yeah, they did.
They made them less broken.
Still hate them.
Why so salty?
No. I was busy doing other stuff all weekend.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to do it either. So.
Yeah. Oh, if you're listening out there and you did play in the Mirror event on the weekend, it'd be awesome to hear what you thought of that.
Yeah, let us know if they fixed it. Like,
did it make a difference?
Like, jokes aside, if they do manage to balance cards, it puts things in a really interesting spot, I think, for historic.
Yeah. As we said last week, Cracker, it's kind of the test case for potentially doing that all the time in the historic format on Arena.
It's an arena-only format. I think it's good. I like it.
It's also probably worth mentioning just quickly, did we talk about the cancellation of Pioneer Masters?
No. Yeah, actually, I think that was snuck into that...
so that was in the state of the game, yeah. So Pioneer Masters was a planned set coming to Arena where they were going to, bring the format of Pioneer in some variety as a master set and kind of add it as another format. They've just stopped.
They don't need to. Historic's good.
No, Historic has just crushed it. Like, Pioneer has basically died, I think, for
it didn't have
a number
paper
of reasons.
tournaments to play. And that's it was a paper predominant format. Like, you can play it on MTGO,
Magic Online.
But most people on there, especially at the moment, are just playing Modern or Legacy. So yeah, it just didn't have that following, and it sucks because we were super excited about that format when it first came out.
You guys were. It never grabbed me, honestly. But
yeah, okay.
I like Historic, and why invest in two different formats? Like modifying.
I like Historic now.
Yeah,
I didn't like when it dropped, and I think that's the thing, right? They spent the last 18 months with a huge amount of player base and just throwing cards at it, and got it to a really good point. Like, I think it's a really interesting format now, and we just don't need Pioneer. There's just too many formats.
Interestingly, they used the high-level pro scene to promote Historic, and that made it successful.
I don't think that's it at all.
That's tinfoil hat, Chewy. Like, come on, that's super conspiracy.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, maybe I'm overthinking something. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't use logic.
Anyway,
but yeah, in the State of the Game article, they said we do not anticipate a Pioneer Masters release in the next year. We have a solid plan for those sets, but for now we will be focusing on expanding Historic in other ways. So yeah, who knows what that means, whether that's just more anthologies or whether they do more things like the Mystical Archives, where they're printing stuff as like bonus cards in standard sets that go directly into Historic. Who knows? But yeah, their Historic is very clearly their focus, which is fine by us because as Cracker said, it's a fun format now. So be interesting to see what they do. But yeah, as we said, if you did play in that event, give us your feedback. We'd love to hear what you thought of it and if they managed to balance the format by making those changes. All right, so the last thing we want to go through is finishing off the Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms preview. So the entire set has been previewed now, and it actually releases on Arena, I think, in like the next 10 hours, something like that. Like, we're recording this Thursday night in Melbourne, and the Arena release date is actually the 8th of July, which is today for us. So I don't know when it actually comes out, but it's releasing in paper in the next couple of weeks. But by the time you listen to this podcast, it will be live on Arena, and you can get in and do your drafts and your sealed and start building new standard decks and things like that. So we thought we'd have a bit of a chat about a few of the extra things that have been previewed since we spoke last week. So Chewy, I know you weren't on the cast last week, so you had a few cards you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, there was a card that is actually pretty exciting to me because it's a good white card and we don't get many of those. So I really like Loyal Warhound as a Magic card in general, and I think it's a really good enabler for white-based aggressive decks to be good. It is 1 and a white for a 3/1 creature dog with vigilance. Not big on the art, I must say, but the card itself is pretty good. When Loyal Warhound enters a battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, search your library for a basic plains card, put it in the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So it is very similar to Knight of the White Orchid. It's not as good as Knight of the White Orchid, but it had that same land search ability, but it was a 2/2 first striker, which is obviously a bit better than a 3/1 vigilance, but that's a case in point of what's happening to white. But when you've got...
Yeah, Knight was also white, which is worth...
that's not nothing.
This is slightly easier to cast, but I mean, a 2/2 first strike is definitely better than a 3/1 vigilance.
Yeah, the other big difference is Knight of the White Orchid got you a plains card, whereas Loyal Warhound is a basic plains.
Yeah.
So that is actually, like, in standard, currently makes very little difference, but in older formats,
you can't go and get a Sacred Bandit.
Any of the triomes fetchable with that?
With Knight of the White Orchid?
With
Knight
of the White Orchid,
right?
Yep.
But you know, Winota and things like that, those sort of decks where you want to play 4-drops, 5-drops, and you know, there's the adult gold dragon, which would be a good top end, or just ramping into Showdown of the Skulls and things like that. There's a lot of places where some ramp when you're on the draw in a wide aggressive deck could, you know, be the difference to, you know, when you're on the draw in an aggressive deck and, you know, they've got a removal spell, they've got a, you know, they play a sweeper, then, you know, you can be really on the back foot, where this kind of catches you up as far as your land drops go, and you're using your mana and you're hitting that land drop without having, you know, a land. You can cheat on lands. It's a great best of one card for that reason as well. And, you know, if we want to play what's the Spirit 2/1 that's got the Boast make a thing, and, you know, like, basically this will go into Winota decks, unless Winota rotates out when this comes in, but for that 3 months. But the Showdown of the Skulls decks, where you want to hit 4 and 5 mana, either this gets you there a turn earlier on the draw, or makes so you're not missing those land drops. It's actually great. It's a really good card, and I 100% believe that this will see play in those decks. Whether those mono white decks are any good or those red white decks are any good, we don't know. But if they're playable, this will be an auto 4-off.
I mean, this goes a long way in helping make those decks playable, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
Well,
so
quite a lot of the current mono white deck is actually rotating with the next set that comes out. So yeah, they definitely need a bunch of new stuff if that deck or that archetype is going to still be viable.
Yeah, I think the current version, either the life gain or the hate bears, you know, we're going to lose a lot of that, but it'll retain some elements. It'll still play the PV Worlds card, but it's turn 3 Showdown of the Skulls is what excites me about this card, really.
Yep.
No,
it's cool. Great. A very cool card. Cracker, you've got a couple you want to talk about too?
I do. This one is called Demi-Lich, and it's got the wicked mana cost of blue for a skeleton wizard, and it's a 4/3. It says, this spell costs blue less to cast for each instant and sorcery you've cast this turn. When Demi-Lich attacks, exile up to 1 target instant or sorcery from your graveyard, copy it. You may cast that copy. You may cast Demi-Lich from your graveyard by exiling 4 instant and or sorcery cards from your graveyard, in addition to paying its other costs.
Oh, it's Hogak broken. back.
It's not Hogak. I don't know that it's broken.
No.
It's interesting.
It's solid.
It's close, man. It's just nerfed enough that I think it's still good.
I actually love that mana cost. Like the OG Lich was 4 black mana. So being 4 blue is kind of cool. And I could see this being played as a 1 or a 2 of maybe. Shorty, do you reckon this is something that you could play in, is it Phoenix?
Yeah. I don't think it's going to see much playing standard unless we have like a, mono blue spells tempo-y sort of deck where...
Oh, I'm going to force it.
Yeah, well,
it's going in, is it? Because you've got like you're still going to have Sprite Dragon, you're still going to have Stormwing Entity. It is a good recursive threat.
Does this replace the one of what's the Drake, the red
Crackling
blue,
Drake?
Yeah, does this replace Crackling Drake?
I mean that rotates, doesn't it?
No, I'm thinking in historic. Yeah,
historic.
So, it doesn't hit as hard. It doesn't have any evasion is the problem.
No, but it's recursive and I don't know. It's worth testing, I guess, is my takeaway from this. It's a cool card.
It's also a real chance in Modern, I think. It's pretty easy to get one of these out on turn 2, which is not like I win the game or anything like that. Like Modern is a super busted format, but if you want, copies or a couple of copies of this in Is It Phoenix in Modern, I can see that being a thing.
Turn 2 this with Force of Negation backup is going to, go a long way towards putting you in front in games. So, yeah.
Yeah, but just like Vapor Snagging a creature, attacking, casting Vapor Snag again, bouncing another one of their creatures, smack you for 4. Like, there's just... You can get some pretty gross play patterns going. But yeah, it's not broken. And the art is sweet, and I think it'll be fun.
Yep, definitely.
I want one in foil, just quietly. I think it'll look great.
Oh, put it in the cube.
Okay.
Yeah, very good.
Do you have any you want to talk about, Shorty?
Yeah, just a couple. Most of the cards I actually want to talk about. I want to talk about them because they are like the D&D references to spells and things like that, as we spoke about on the cast last week. But a card that I think is actually good, and I'm glad to see this one, is Burning Hands, which, I don't know if both of you, I can't remember who I've played campaigns with, but I had a sorcerer for a while in one of our Pathfinder campaigns that was specialised in casting Burning Hands and just doing a ton of damage with that spell. And plenty of good memories with that, just getting up nice and close to creatures and then burning the hell out of them. But this is actually a pretty good spell. So it's 1 and a red for an instant, and Burning Hands deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Yeah, that's not very good considering we have Shock that also goes to players. But it has, if that permanent is green, Burning Hands deals 6 damage instead. So this is what red needs, the mono red decks for fighting against Lovestruck Beasts and Elder Gargaroths. So obviously Lovestruck Beast is going to rotate with the next set release, so that's fine, but Elder Gargaroth doesn't. That sticks around. And yeah, once, like as a mono red player, when your opponent plays turn 3 Lovestruck Beast, you just look at it and go, oh man, this is going to take me a bit of work to get rid of this. And when they cast the Gargaroth, it's basically game over. Like, you just kind of can't win. So being able to deal with it instant speed, 2 mana is really good. You can kill the Gargaroth before they get any sort of benefit off of it, because you're killing it before it untaps and gets to attack or block.
Massive trade up in mana as well for you.
Yeah,
2 versus 5.
Yep.
I like it.
Really,
so sideboard
really cool
card, are you thinking?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the meta. If it's a sort of meta where there's a ton of green creatures getting around, a bunch of green creature decks, then you play a couple in the main, but definitely sideboard card. Pretty cool to set on. Chewy, you want to talk about a cycle of cards? So this was something that wasn't or hadn't been previewed when we spoke last week. You want to talk about the class cards? Yeah.
So a new enchantment type, and I think they're pretty cool. And as you mentioned, Shorty, you like some of these cards because of the D&D references. I think these are a really good representation of that. So the one I've got up, cleric class, which just happens to be my favourite class in D&D, so that's what I'm using. It's 1 white mana. It's an uncommon for an enchantment class. So this is the next new enchantment type that we've seen. Like we saw sagas, and this is a little bit similar in the vertical art with the text. So you could be mistaken for thinking it was a saga when you first look at it. But it says gain the next level as a sorcery to add its ability. So these abilities stack, right? So it's not like you move through them like a saga. These become static abilities that you gain by investing some mana, just like leveling up in D&D. You guys mentioned top-down design on the cast last week. Yes, I did listen. And this is another really good example of that. So if you would gain life, you gain that much life plus 1 instead is level 1. So that's for the 1 white mana investment. You can pay 3 and a white to go to level 2. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. That's pretty good. Maybe this is something that the mono white deck can adopt. And then 4 and a white to go to level 3. When this class becomes level 3, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. You gain life equal to its toughness. So that means that you then put a +1/+1 counter on it, and you gain life equal to its toughness +1. So because of all of the other levels. So it's pretty cool. It's mana investment. It's got to kind of sit there and do something as a sorcery, and it's got to be worth the investment. I don't know whether it is in limited. Absolutely, I think this is a good card, or a good cycle of cards. Whether they break into constructed or not, we'll have to see. I'm not sure, but it's a very, very cool design, and I really like it. I think it's very cool. What do you guys reckon of these?
These enchantments are awesome. Like we've said it last week. Both you and I, Cracker. Like everything in this set is just hitting all the right spots for the D&D feels. So, are any of them standing out to you, Cracker?
It's so hard to evaluate them. Like there's kind of two. There's actually 2 cycles. So there's like monocolored ones.
Yep.
And then there are like allied color pairs as well. So
you can multi-class. I like it.
Yeah, no, it's really cool because you can have exactly. You can be like a wizard class and a fighter class or something like that. So I don't know. I think most of them are too mana intensive for some of the payoffs, but I just don't. It's hard to say, man. Like they're weird cards as well because like you just don't know. It was like when sagas first came out. We're just like no one knows if these things are good. Some of them were like clearly very good. And then most of them were just like, I don't know, like Birth of Meletus didn't seem like it was super strong, but it saw heaps.
But one world. So, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to evaluate. But again, like you guys, I think they're awesome and I hope they're good. I just couldn't possibly guess,
I think they're limited cards, is my gut instinct, but there may be 1 or 2 that sneak in as in small numbers to some constructed decks, but I don't know what those decks are yet. But
yeah, well, the monocolored cycle is uncommons, but the multicolored ones are a rare cycle. So generally, they're going to obviously put a bit more power into a rare cycle, and they're harder to cast being multicolored. So like one of them, Bard class, I know there's combos that you can do with this in older formats, so it's the bards are red and green apparently, and the like level 1 legendary creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on them. Yep, whatever. But level 2, which also costs red and a green, legendary spells you cast cost red green less to cast. This effect only reduces only the amount of coloured mana you pay. So there's a whole bunch of legends that either cost a single red, a single green, or red-green that you can cast for free when you hit level 2 on your Bard class. So that's got some interesting implications for older formats. Yeah,
one that jumps out at me, and we have mentioned I don't know how many times on this cast, but when Eldraine rotates, we've seen things like Nahiri and, the other Equipment Matters cards that actually exist in Standard right now, and they just get completely overshadowed. Like, why would you play them when you could play, stronger cards? But Fighter class might find a home. Like, Maul of the Skyclaves is a really good equipment card, right? Embercleave, obviously that's going to go as well, but we've had good equipments in Standard that just never get there. But Fighter class just might find a home with what's the god? He starts with H. That makes
Heliod?
Halvar?
Halvar got a battle,
right.
with the modal double-faced god the equipment. So Fighter class, red and a white, and it is when Fighter class enters the battlefield, search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it in your hand and shuffle. So a 2-mana tutor for an equipment, that's great. Level 2 is 1 red, white, equipped abilities cost 2 less to activate, so you're able to get the mana back over the next turn or two. And level 3, whenever a creature you control attacks, up to 1 target creature blocks at this combat if able. So you can just start. You might have a big creature that's just you're going to mow through their best creatures to So I think this is a good card if it has a home. And so Nahiri exists, Halvar exists. There's a bunch of playable equipment. There's the goblin and the goblin equipment and the mace and things in this set as well. And there could be a red-white aggressive deck that plays the dog, the loyal warhound, and just beats people down. So loyal warhound is a lot better when it's got an equipment buffing it, right? So
yes.
Yeah.
And look, the equip costs are the way that they nerf equipment now, right? So like the +2 mace is equip, I was just looking, is 3.
Yeah.
But if that equip cost goes to 1, all of a sudden, like, that becomes super playable card. And enchantments, I mean, it's worth pointing out, they're not like sagas, so they do stick around.
Exactly.
And, enchantments are not typically the easiest card type to interact with.
Yep.
So I think it's good.
There's the way I was sort of looking at them is you've got to be in it for the first ability, like level 1, and the other abilities are either completely part of your game plan, where it's, okay, I want to cast this class enchantment, and then I'm intending on leveling it up because the level 3 is integral to my game plan. Or you look at it like the other levels are just a mana sink where if you get them, and it's not the end of the world. The main thing you're playing it for is the first ability. So like Sorcerer class, which is blue and a red, is when it enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. So we've seen Izzet Charm in the past, which is, it's got other modes to it, but one of the modes is, it's blue and a red for draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, which in certain decks is going to be pretty handy. The rest of the abilities, whether you use them or not, that's probably not as relevant. They can be good, especially level 3, but you might play that card just for that first ability. It's pretty close to Faithless Looting.
in the graveyard. Let's go.
Exactly. One I do think is potentially good, and it's because we've seen this a card with this mana cost effectively being played before in Standard, is the Paladin class, which is a single white, and the level 1 is spells your opponents cast during your turn cost 1 more to cast. So we've seen that ability before on Tithe Taker.
Yeah,
I think it was. Very good.
Super annoying.
Yeah, it is super annoying, and the amount of times you forget it, it's like, I'll just pass the turn and I'll do this, whatever, or I'll pass the turn and I'll opt in your turn, and you get to their turn, it's like, now I can't cast that up because it costs 1 and a blue, sort of thing. Very
and then
easy
it also
to forget.
becomes a glorious anthem. Like, wow.
Yes. So for 2 and a white, it has, level 2, creatures you control get +1/+1, which is glorious anthem, as Chewy said. What I look at with this is the mana cost to get to that level is 2 white. Now we've seen Gideon, the 4-mana Gideon, that you could come in and you could -4 it and get an emblem that was glorious anthem. Creatures you control get +1/+1, and that card was heavily played, and the most common play pattern with that card was you played it and you just emblemed it straight away. Now, an emblem is obviously better than an enchantment because you can't interact with the emblem, but being able to pay the 4 mana over, splitting the cost over a couple of turns is also pretty good. So I think I could see, especially in, the white weenie decks that we're talking about, I think I could see this one getting played.
So you could go this on turn 1, the Hound on turn 2, activate, make him a 4/2 vigilance. Whoa. So it's just all coming together. I like this card a lot, and the +5 ability, the level 3, is a nice little pseudo overrun type thing in a go wide strategy as well. This you want to go wide with the Glorious Anthem effect, and then you get rewarded for that in level 3. So
if you've got a couple of flyers, so the level 3 is whenever you attack until end of turn, target attacking creature gets +1/+1 for each other attacking creature and gains double strike. So Maul of the Skyclaves on a dude, like on that dog. So it's got flying. Now it's getting a huge buff from all your other little white dudes, and it's getting double strike. Like, that's a lot of damage coming through. I could definitely see this played on turn 1. Turns 2 and 3, just play out a bunch of dudes, and then turn 4, whether you hit your 4th land or not, you can bump this up Glorious Anthem, and all of a sudden your little dudes are a lot bigger. It's it's gonna be pretty good. So
there's actually a lot to unpack with this card, because the first level protects your 2 and 3 drops, semi-protects them against, spot removal spells or sweepers. And then, you're getting a Glorious Anthem without investing an extra card as well. So that's definitely a benefit. And then, finishing the game. So it's a nice little card, this one.
Yeah, yep. All right, Cracker, you want to talk about the new Grizzlebrand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, is there a card I'm missing in the set? There's something that people are saying. Yeah. Asmodeus, depending on who you are and how you like to say things. The Archfiend. It is 4 black for a legendary creature, Devil God. It is a 6/6. They got the mana and power and toughness thing lined up this time.
Mm-hmm.
Nice work. And it says Binding Contract. If you would draw a card, exile the top card of your library face down instead. And then it has 2 activated abilities. So the first one is black, draw 7 cards. And the other one, totally. And the other one is black for return all cards exiled with Asmodeus, the Archfiend, to their owner's hand, and you lose that much life.
This card is like Grizzlebrand and Necropotence.
It's confusing as all hell.
Yeah. If Grizzlebrand's Grizzle Daddy, this is like Grizzle Nephew, right?
Is this? Have we played a campaign where we fought this dude? Like, when I read this name, I was like, oh, I know that name.
Neverwinter Nights, I believe. He was
okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, one of the Neverwinters. Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, sorry, Cracker. Continue with your love of this card.
No, I'm not saying it. I mean, it's a card that people will expect me to talk about, right? It's interesting. The fact that you don't get to draw cards ever again.
But that's a Necro, right? It's Necro.
But it's not.
Yeah, Necropotence is...
No, but Necro you can just dump mana into, and you exile cards.
You dump life into drawing cards.
Yeah, you dump life into
where
it.
This is the same ability as Necro, so it's a good callback to that where... but instead of paying life, you've got to invest mana into drawing 7.
Yeah, so it's going to cost you 4 mana and 7 life to draw 7 new cards.
And that's okay.
On top of the 6 mana you've already paid.
Yeah, it's also a 6 mana 6/6. Right.
Yeah,
it is.
Unless you're cheating it into play, which is probably what you're going to be wanting to try and do with this sort of card.
I would imagine so. The fact that it doesn't have lifelink is obviously the big downside here.
Yeah.
That's what makes Grizzlebrand...
It's not a flying
that's not actually
lifelink.
the only thing that makes Grizzlebrand playable. But, the fact that you can gain life with it, I mean, even if it's only for like 2 or 3 seconds before you spend that life to draw more cards. I don't know. Look,
is this a card
it's probably not good.
You
pair it with like Phyrexian Unlife or one of those. What's that deck called in Modern? The completely forgot what it's called. That one.
Ad nauseum.
That's the one. Yep. Yeah, where you can pay a bunch of mana and draw a whole bunch of cards, and then just put them all in your hand and not die potentially.
I think you just but with Adnors you just win on turn 4.
Yeah. Although I think that deck took a massive hit when Simian Spirit Guide got banned.
Yeah, you can't.
You lost Lightning Storm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think this card's almost like this. I just look at this and go, it is almost there on many axes, and it's just missing something.
It's like the Demi-Leech. It's like this card is powerful, but they've just toned it down enough that it's not over the top.
Yeah.
Damn it, them learning their lessons.
Yeah.
If this was printed in Eldraine, it would fly and have lifelink and haste. So, so it's...
It would also have an adventure side.
They would also get to sacrifice a creature every time you activated its ability or something.
Yeah, something ridiculous like that. But yeah, it's a very cool card. I like it, but like I'll probably lose to it in limited. But I don't think this is a playable constructed card, unfortunately.
Yep. All right. So yeah, like we said last week, this set is interesting. This set was kind of labeled as a replacement for the core set, so it is understandable that it's not super powerful, and they're obviously trying to tone down the power level of standard anyway, and as we've said a million times, it's all coming under the shadow of Throne of Eldraine, so nothing looks powerful, and maybe after rotation we'll see some of these cards get play, but yeah, there just really isn't anything in here that you're going, oh yeah, I'm really excited to play this card, and this looks really amazing, and that sort of stuff. So yeah, they're like just a few other cards just to mention sort of on the way out were the ones that, caught my eye from a D&D perspective. So like a card like Magic Missile, which I think they did a really good job of design-wise for what a Magic Missile is, which is Magic Missile is basically just like your cantrip spell you get as a sorcerer in D&D, but as it goes, or as you go up levels, it gets more and more missiles. So this one is 1 red for sorcery. It can't be countered because Magic Missile also can't be countered. It's something you just cast. You don't have to roll to hit with a Magic Missile. You just pick your targets and it hits them automatically. And it deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. So it works exactly how it works in D&D.
It's a total hit, this card. It's great.
But it actually generated an interesting discussion on our Discord about mono red. Posted this card up and people were saying, it's no good because it doesn't go to the face. And it sort of generated the discussion that, well, mono red hasn't actually been that sort of a deck for ages since the Dominaria standard when we had Wizard's Lightning and Lightning Strike, that sort of stuff. So this spell is actually quite good because what it does is it clears out blockers. If you can take out a 1 toughness dude and a 2 toughness dude to allow your creatures to get into attack is actually really good.
Card advantage in mono red is a very powerful thing.
Yeah. Yep. There's Boots of Speed. That's a classic D&D thing. There's Thieves' Tools.
We've seen Thieves'
Bag
Tools
of Holdings back again.
Yeah.
Leather armor. Just check for traps. There's so many plate armor, so many things in this set that are really cool throwbacks. Wild Shape, which actually works very well like the spell in D&D. So pretty cool. Cool set. I've heard a lot of people complaining, and we're not going to get into this because we're going to wrap up the cast now, but I've heard a lot of people complaining that they're not happy with this set. It's gone too much into the D&D stuff, but I really like it, and I think you guys really like it too.
Yeah, if you're going to call it a D&D set and then you only go halfway,
yeah, exactly.
Nah, just lean into it. Go, we are embracing the IP. Get with the program.
If they said they were going...
people don't like core sets anyway, so what's the deal?
Yeah, but they said that the Elspeth set, the Theros set, was going to be an enchantment set. We got a lot of enchantments. What did you expect, right?
Yep.
So, if you don't like it, don't purchase it, whatever. But I think if you remove Asmodeus and call it, Jeff, the demon thing, it's still a fine card, right? So a lot of the things are, they're still fine Magic cards. They haven't forced the issue too much just to attach a name to it. So they're still functional Magic cards if you completely ignore the name and have no idea about the backstory or what the spell does or anything. So
exactly,
Magic Missile feels like a Magic Missile.
Yep. Very good. All right, so yeah, if you're keen to play some D&D, as I said, should be released basically by the time you listen to this podcast. And we are having our D&D League, which will be kicking off with the live draw, as we always do, next Friday night. So the 16th of July should be starting around 9 p.m. And yeah, we'll be getting out the Teferi's puzzle box and sorting everybody into their groups again to kick off this league. So I think we're sitting at about 35 players currently. We always get a flurry of people at the last minute. Cracker, you're not even registered yet.
I was going to say, like me, I'm just like, wait, I haven't
Chewy registered just before the podcast. So yeah, there's we're expecting probably similar numbers as we have for the last ones, around the 45 to 50 players, which is awesome. And yeah, it's they're always a lot of fun. The group stage will run for the 4 weeks, as it always does. You can play your matches almost at whatever time suits you. You just organise your matches directly with your opponent, round robin, and then we'll go into the top 16 double elimination finals, culminating in the live stream for the top 8. And the winner of that will be qualified straight through to the Invitational. So jump in our Discord, register for that, or on our challenge page, and yeah, the links for that is in the show notes, as it always is. So that's going to do us for this week. Yeah, we've got our usual housekeeping wrap-up. So yeah, as I said, jump in our Discord, join our leagues. That's the normal things. If you want to show us some support, you can follow the link in the show notes for our merch store, get some hoodies, t-shirts, and mugs and stuff like that. Chewy, you still haven't bought your mug yet, have you?
I have not, no. I was hoping for one for my birthday. But,
just say that a bit louder.
Yeah, maybe.
I think you got enough things for your birthday. You did pretty well.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah.
It's very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, go and check out Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. As I said at the start of the cast, you can just go to jpmtgbazaar.com.au and that will take you straight to the Facebook group, so you can join that and get in on the daily auctions. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch and Twitter, all of those places. Just search for Magic Beans or Magic Beans Cast and you'll find us on there. If you want to find me on Twitter, I am at Peace Inc. Chewy, you are?
At ChewyMTG.
And Cracker?
At JoelHill_.
Very good. So that's it for this week. Thank you as always for listening. Stay safe out there and we'll see you all next time.